It'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. First and foremost, we would like to take this opportunity once again to thank each and every one of you individually and all of you together collectively for the opportunity to interact with you in this way on this day. Each and every time you co-create such an interaction with our civilization, it allows us an opportunity to work together to form a link and a bridge between our respective civilizations, and also in forming that link, in forming that bridge, to create a new third vibration that is representative of a new third reality, a new reality in which we can, as civilizations, interact in new ways. And we thank you for the opportunity also of experiencing through each and every one of you the great gift of the unique point of view, the unique facet of the multidimensional crystal of creation that each and every one of you are. This to us also expands our understanding of all the different ways that creation has of manifesting itself, of expressing itself, of experiencing itself, and thus broadens our understanding of creation as well. So we thank you in exchange for that gift. We would like to begin this transmission with the idea that we have called simultaneity of existence. We have for some time spoken of the idea that all things are now, and many of you have heard this concept now for quite some time in your civilization, that the past and the future in essence are illusions, that everything really exists, coexists simultaneously right here, right now, in a sense, as you say in your language, all at the same time. That there is only now, there is only one moment in existence, and everything that happens, happens in that one moment. But by creating for yourself the illusion of a linear space-time experience, it seems as if the idea of time and moments are laid out before, middle, after, and so on and so forth. But this is, as we say, an illusion. The idea being that there is only now, and any time you wonder what time it is, you know it is only and always now. It is never then, it is never will be. It is always only now. And this is not just a play on words. There really is no past. There really is no future per se in the way that you tend to think of it in your society. What you call past experience, what you call future experience are simultaneously coexisting experiences on a different frequency domain. They all exist right now alongside you on what you would call parallel tracks. All existing now in much the same way as we have said before, as all the programs on one of your televisions all exist at any given moment. You could watch any channel at any given moment and see any program at any given moment, but you only get the one that you're tuned to in the frequency of at that moment. But if you wish to see another program, all you have to do is change your channel and you can see another program, another frequency. It exists at the same time as the one you were watching before. And you know that when you are no longer watching that channel, it doesn't mean that the program is not there anymore. It is still there, but you no longer perceive it because you have shifted your frequency. This is how you actually experience change in your reality. The whole concept of change itself is actually the act of shifting to multiple simultaneously coexisting parallel realities again and again and again and again, literally billions of times per second. Literally. Because any one given parallel reality is just a frozen snapshot, just a frozen moment, just a concept. And the idea even of your arm moving from here to here involves the shifting from this parallel reality to this parallel reality through all of the subsequent parallel realities in between. Billions of times a second. The idea, therefore, is for you to understand that when you are shifting, when you experience yourself to be moving in any way, changing in any way, shifting in any way, shape, or form, this actually involves you being powerful enough to automatically shift your vibration through any number of a billion parallel realities. And you're doing this so automatically you don't even know you're doing it. That's how innate of a creator you are. That's how easy it is for you to shift. The reason that we point this out is because we have conversations with many of you talking about the idea of wanting to change your experience of reality, of wanting to make a shift, of wanting to shift your frequency. And many of you, because of the way you have been brought up to think in your society, think that learning how to shift is very difficult. That it's a very difficult process, requiring years and years and years of training. But you already do it. It's automatic. It is something you do naturally, so naturally you don't even know you're doing it. So the issue is not that you have to learn to shift. The issue is that you have to become aware of the fact that you're already shifting so that you can shift to the parallel reality you prefer. That's the key. That's the big difference. And that is why we talk about the idea now of the simultaneity of existence, to help you make it that much easier to know that whatever reality you wish to experience, it is not an issue of having to learn the mechanism of how to create that reality. That is built in. You are an automatic creator. You don't have to learn anything at all to create a shift in your reality, because as I said, you're doing it billions of times a second anyway. The only reason you really don't know you're doing it is because when you choose to shift to another reality, another reality, another reality, another reality, to create your illusion of the continuity of movement, you shift to realities that are so similar to the last reality, you don't really know that you've actually shifted to an entirely different universe, an entirely different reality. So the key is that when you create a greater degree of difference between one reality and another in terms of where you shift to, then you will start to notice that you are shifting immediately and automatically and instantaneously every single moment. So the idea thus then is to learn how to describe, learn how to define the reality you prefer, and learn how to be in the state of the frequency of that reality of your preference, so that you can know that more and more as you're going along, shifting and shifting and shifting automatically and effortlessly, you can thus begin to imbue your frequency as you shift with more and more and more of the frequency representative of the reality that you prefer to shift to, so you can make bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger leaps and have less and less and less continuity, less and less and less similarity between the next reality and the one that you experienced a moment ago. Thus then revealing to yourself by the greater difference between them that you are automatically and immediately shifting all the time, but you have glossed it over with an illusion that you're not by saying that all you're doing every moment is just making a tiny little change in the same reality, which in fact you are not. So, the idea also to absorb in this, in the simultaneity of existence, is that the idea also not only of your own past in your own life and your own future in your own life, but everything you call past lives and everything you call future lives incarnationally are also coexistent with you right now. The idea being that whoever those people are, they are connected to you as you exist now. You, the you are now, literally was never those people. Those people literally never become you as people. You may have the same oversoul connection, and we will get to that later in what you call this evening's transmission. But the idea is that every single discrete incarnation is its own person and exists side by side with you in your incarnation on a parallel time track right now. So the idea of connecting to past lives, of connecting to future lives, is really only the idea of cross-connecting to another coexisting incarnation that exists right now at the same time you do, and making that connection for your own purposes, for your own reasons. For some reason, you make connections in any given life to other experiences that other aspects of your soul are having at the same time that you call other lives in other time frames, so that you can draw upon the experiences that those lives are having. But the experiences in those lives did not cause the experience you are having in this life. The experience you are having in this life will not cause an experience in what you call a future life. The cross connections all exist in the present. And you make those connections because you believe that in order for you to experience this life You need to draw upon some of the experiences of those other lives to give you the inspirations and the ideas and the insights and the perspectives that will aid and assist you for whatever theme you may be exploring as this person, even as, at the same time, all the other lives are cross-connecting to you and drawing from your experience to give them the insights and inspirations and perspectives that they may need to draw upon for the experience and theme they have decided will be explored in those lives as well. So you have created a cross-connecting web, an interlaced web of lives, very much like what you are seeing in the holotope diagram, that interlacing. All those connections all exist right now. All those strings, all those lines crossing, all those points where they cross are different lives all coexisting at the same time and all connected to the same oversoul at the center that you are connected to. The greater self in that sense. Now look at it even on another level of dimensionality. Not only do you have your own life now and all of your so-called past lives, concurrent parallel lives, we'll get to that in a second, and future lives, not only do they all exist at the same time, but each and every one of those lives also have multiple versions and variations in an infinite number of parallel realities up and down the timeline, so to speak. So not only do you have what you would consider to be a linear past life, a linear future life in your linear time frame sense, but you yourself in this life also have a parallel version in another reality, another parallel earth, doing something perhaps similar but just a little bit different. And then another, doing something perhaps similar but a little more different. And another, doing something perhaps not so similar anymore and even more different. And another, and another, and another, until you have variations of yourself doing things that you are not doing here at all. And that goes on infinitely as well. So you are infinitely spread across the web, the matrix of what you call your own plane of time, past, present, and future. But all the pasts and the presents and the future lives that all coexist simultaneously also each have an infinite number of parallel lives up and down, experiencing variations of whatever those lives are. Does this make sense in your language? Are you getting the picture? Yes. What we are doing by explaining this to you is attempting to get you to fully absorb and wrap your mental abilities around exactly how multidimensional you actually are as a being. You are really that big. You are really that multidimensional. And the idea is that we are happy to reflect that to you like a mirror. So that in, perhaps, your ability to wrap your mind around this concept and make it your own, you will thus then be capable of seeing in that reflection the true nature of your beingness, the true nature of your creatorhood, the true nature of your existence, and in seeing that, have more facility, more facilitation, more ability, more ecstatic excitement in creating the reality you prefer yourself to experience, because now you can see who and what you are more clearly. You can, in a sense, deconstruct the illusion to the point where you can really see how you're pulling the strings, and thus then can pull the strings you prefer, so to speak, to create the experience you truly prefer to be, to allow the unique individual you have chosen to be here and now to express itself in the fullest way possible that he or she can, so that you can thus then be the fullest expression of that facet of the multidimensional crystal of creation that you were created to be. And thus in doing so, experience your life in an ecstatic and creative and effortless, expanding way. Well, if you want to. Of course, you don't have to. We are not here to tell you what to do or to force you to do anything or tell you must choose this or must choose that. We are simply telling you what is probable based on the nature of your actual existence, your very nature. But you can also decide, because you have that nature, to not know that. You can decide to choose the idea of more limitation rather than less. You can decide to choose the idea of experiencing darkness rather than light. It's completely up to you because all choices are valid, and we would never take that away from you. What we are simply saying is we're giving you an opportunity to understand what more of the choices are so that you can have a level playing field, that you can, in a sense, validate all the choices. And by validating all the choices, both negative and positive, dark and light, you can then give yourself more capability to choose what you prefer without invalidating what you don't. Because please remember, whatever it is you don't prefer more clearly delineates what you do prefer. Thus then, the darkness defines the light, even as the light defines the darkness. Without either, you would be nothing but a gray fog and never know who you were. So the idea is, allow yourself to take advantage of the fact that even though sometimes you may choose things that you don't prefer, it more clearly and sharply defines from that point forward what you do prefer. So thank the darkness, thank the negativity for showing you who you are in a positive way, and thus you will be using that energy in a positive and constructive way, and it will thus then expand you rather than contract and limit you. Does that make sense? All right. So, the idea, very briefly, is that as you thus then see more and more of this reflection, as you thus then wrap your mind more around this idea of your simultaneity, that you are this web of consciousnesses simultaneously existing, simultaneously having a multitude of infinite experiences all up and down, all sorts of dimensional timelines all at once, and at the same time are also in each life focused as a unique experience and a unique individual, precious for its uniqueness. As you wrap your mind around that, and as you really take it to heart, and really make it your own, and really let it sink into your fibers and your cells and your atomic structure, so it becomes first nature to you to think this way about yourself and your reality. Once you begin to do that, what you will begin to see is your physical linear space-time reality will begin to come a little bit unglued. You may experience more malleability in space-time, more flexibility, the capability to do things that heretofore you didn't think you had time to do, but you got it done anyway. The ability to arrive at places you didn't have time to get, but you arrived there anyway. Things like that will become commonplace, and synchronicity will expand and multiply and amplify in your life 10, 100, 1,000-fold, the more you allow yourself to really see the simultaneity of your existence to the level and to the degree that it serves you to remain as the unique individual that you are, then your life will expand accordingly, and your life will reflect those things to you accordingly that you need to know and need to experience, and bring to you the doorways, windows, and opportunities and circumstances, situations, people, places, and things at the right place and the right time that you need to have in your life so that you may continue to experience yourself in an ever-expanding, ever-ecstatic way. This is how it works. This is just physics. That's all we're talking about. Metaphysics is just physics without the math. That's all it is. It's just wrapping your mind around the idea that what you are is vibrating consciousness, vibrating energy. You are resonance. You are a frequency. You are a pitch of energy. That is your unique signature vibration. And whatever it is at any given moment you define that to be will be the experience that you allow yourself to have as well as a reflection back to you. Because remember, physical reality doesn't exist outside of you. It exists inside of you. It is just an illusion. It is just a reflection. Again, in the same way as we often use by analogy, as a physical glass mirror. When you see your reflection in the mirror, you know that's not really you over there in the mirror. You know you're here. You know that's a reflection. If you see the reflection frowning, you don't walk over to the mirror and try to force the reflection to smile. When you want to see the reflection smile, you know what you have to do. You have to smile first. But if you wait for the reflection to smile first, you'll be frowning for the rest of your life. But that's what many people on your planet do. I'll be happy when I see my reality change. Well, that's what you're saying. I'll be happy when my reflection is happy. But the reflection can never be happy until you are. So when you're happy first, the reflection has no choice but to reflect it to you. But again, remember, you have created a time-space reality, so sometimes there's a little bit of a time lag between the idea of the change you make within you and the ability of the outer reality to reflect it to you. And sometimes specifically because of the belief systems that you have bought into throughout your lives, you will often even test yourself to see whether or not you really believe you have changed. Therefore, that's why we always stress the idea that when you know you have changed, you do not make the change conditional on whether the outer reality changes or not. The idea of knowing you have truly changed is if you respond differently to the outer reality, even if it doesn't change. That's how you know you've changed. Whereas if you say, yes, I've changed, but I'm not seeing it in my outer reality, then all you're still doing is looking for it in the outer reality first, and all that means is you haven't changed, so why should the outer reality reflect the change to you? You see? You know where this goes. All right. So then, the idea is, as we have said, when you get a grip, as you say, a grasp, as you say, on the simultaneity, on the vastness, on the true power and multidimensionality of your existence, then you can allow yourself to relax the idea of any kind of insistence, any kind of condition that is negatively oriented that you may put on yourselves, and simply choose to be who you prefer to be for no other reason. You do not need a reason to be happy. If you want to be happy, be happy. You do not need an exterior conditional reason to be happy. This is why we say circumstances don't matter. Only your state of being does. Because the idea is that it is your state of being that determines what kind of an effect you get out of the circumstances, because the circumstances have no built-in meaning. They do not come with any particular agenda. A circumstance is neutral. It's just a set of props that mean nothing. The meaning you give to it determines the effect you get from it. So the meaning you put into it will determine the idea of whether or not you experience your life in an expanded or a limited way. Once you understand that you are an expanded being and begin to behave like you are, even while you are focused as an individual, you will see the difference reflected in your reality just by knowing that's who you are. Just by knowing that's what you are, it will ultimately start being reflected to you in your reflected reality. Because that reality doesn't really exist out there. It's all here, right now, with everything that exists in creation. What you call, in your linear space-time framework, what you call different moments are just the same moment from a different point of view. That's all it is. It's all you're seeing. There is only one moment in creation. Now. Everything exists now, and what you call different moments are exactly the same moment from a different point of view. And that's how vast you are. That's how powerful you are. That billions of times a second, you are literally creating billions of different points of view of the same now creation moment. And that is what you experience as reality. You are that powerful. Live as if you know that in a humble way, and you will see vast miracles become the order of the day. Does that make sense? All right. We have thus then arrived at a place where we can now deliver a new tool, a new idea for you to utilize, for you to incorporate, for you to assimilate, for you to integrate within your collective consciousness and your individual consciousness, to apply into your physical reality experience for the purpose of acclimating more readily to the vibrations of acceleration and ascension that are now coming about in your collective energy as you approach the crossing of the threshold that you call 2012. Although, of course, this transformation has been going on for quite some time and will continue for quite some time after that date. This represents, as we say, the tipping of the scales, the crossing of the threshold from one idea to another, the leading edge of the wave of your collective consciousness, tipping the scales from the idea of negative energy to positive energy for the first time in many thousands of years upon your planet. Thus then, with the tipping of the scales to allow for slightly more positive energy collectively to exist on your planet after that date, you can use that energy to accelerate, as you say, to snowball the effect of positive energy, both collectively and individually, as you accelerate your shift from parallel reality to parallel reality. Designing, in a sense, within your relationship to higher mind, designing the reality that you prefer and shifting to the reality that already exists, that is more reflective and more representative of the reality, of the parallel Earth reality that you say you prefer, that you say you wish to align to. And remembering that the idea is not just the notion of a wish. It is not just the notion of a visualization. It is also the notion of action, of behavior, of behaving like the person you wish to be in the reality you wish to experience, so that you can ground all these energies like a circuit into the experience of physical reality. For if you continue to the idea of contrary behavior to the visualization of the version of yourself in that reality, it will not anchor that vibration in your experience, and you will not shift to that particular parallel reality. It is all about forming a cohesive whole in thought, word, and deed, so that the totality of your being is present, and the totality of your being is expressing the actions, the attitudes, the behaviors that go hand in hand with the changes that you say you wish to make within yourselves, but which in a sense are not holistically expressed, if not on every level, every moment. So, as we thus then apply this new information today, please recall all that we have said, not just in this particular momentary event, but in all the tools and suggestions and permission slips that we have shared with you, applying them when and where necessary, every moment, opening up your imagination conduit to the higher mind and forming that relationship with the higher mind, so that in the balancing of the higher mind with the physical mind, you can truly function as a whole person on whatever version of Earth you truly wish to experience. We have in this particular event shared with you the idea of the 11-11-11 gate, and have given you many suggestions for how to use the resonance of that particular energy, those parallel tracks, those parallel lines, that which is considered to be the symbol of reflection, and suggested some ideas for how to utilize permission slips involving mirrors and your own reflections in a variety of ways for you to utilize in whatever way your imagination sees fit. We have thus then also described and explained the structure of the 9 levels of consciousness, so that you can truly understand and incorporate the true relationship between all these levels, and also how it is that from the physical point of view and the conscious mind's point of view, thinking that it is on top, it has created also the shadow reality below it that allows it to think that the feelings and belief systems it seeks to tap into are somehow below, but are truly, now you understand, to be above. And thus then knowing that whenever you seek to connect to the idea of your belief systems to change and shift your reality in the way that you prefer, it is about expanding your energy upward to make the connection, rather than going downward into the ideas you have labeled the sub and unconscious minds, which in reality are above vibrationally the conscious mind of thought, which together forms the idea of behavior with the emotions and the beliefs. Using the template level reality, freeing yourself to use it as a blueprint, to change those blueprints, to allow yourself more conscious recognition of your agreements, and to rearrange the idea of the themes that you chose to explore, so that you become transparent to yourself in such a manner as to call forth again, acting holistically, the vibrations and the state of being that are representative of the reality you prefer, and in so aligning with those vibrations in attitudes of gratitude and expressions of calm and peace and creativity and love, and acting on your passion every moment that you can to the best of your ability, with absolutely zero expectation for how it should all work out. You will thus then be squarely in the center with your magnetic compass needle pointing to your true self, moving forward along the path through the concept of space and time that you have created yourself to experience as part of the way of knowing creation, part of the way of experiencing process, part of the way of expanding your consciousness and imprinting your soul with the idea of a unique spirit that adds to the totality of the experience of how all that is experiences itself. Thus then, this day of your time, we will add now the notion, to cap this off, of what we have called the laws of attraction and repulsion, and the ways in which you use them and the ways in which you can use this very simple but very powerfully profound idea and notion to aid and assist you in accelerating your energy, so that you can match the frequencies coming in, radiating from the leading edge of the collective consciousness as you cross the threshold in 2012, and also so that you may have more clarity and a better capacity, shall we say, to transform very rapidly the idea of any beliefs that you wish to transform, and letting go of those which do not resonate in compatibility with you, and allowing those that do resonate in alignment with your true self to come to the forefront and be incorporated and integrated within the totality of your being. Thus then, let us begin to examine the idea of the laws of attraction and repulsion. Now, we have in some ways covered these ideas from a variety of perspectives and have many times used other words in which to describe these things. And as we move forward in this description and explanation today of your time, we will also, as usual, to illustrate the point, provide a couple of different permission slip exercises that we will take you through. One to begin with in the first part of this transmission, and one in conjunction with your holotope experience later on as you know time to exist. The idea, however, is profoundly simple. Understanding, as we have already explained on several occasions, that the idea is that you are resonant frequency energy, that your consciousness vibrates at a certain pitch, that you yourself have a particular signature vibration that represents your unique beingness. And this particular resonant vibration, your core vibration, your true vibration, the vibration that represents you as a unique creation, a unique facet of the multidimensional crystal of creation, a unique expression of all that is in a sense a constant vibrational frequency. No matter what you may layer on top of it, in terms of your personality structure, in terms of how your beliefs may shift and your feelings may be expressed and your thoughts may play out and your behavior may unfold, always, always, always at your core, there is this signature vibration that goes all the way up the ladder that represents the unique expression, the unique extension of creation that you were created to be. And that is a constant, and it is always with you and is always representative of you. And that is why, as you do continue on your journey in this life, in the idea of the afterlife, in other lives, you will find that the more you integrate and the more you become more of yourself and the more you expand in spirit and soul and the more you take the place in the oversoul and above and beyond all that, into all that is, you will find that the perspective you will always retain will be as if all that integration is happening to you. And this will be the perspective you will maintain even in arriving at the level you call all that is. It will be as if you have become all that is. But this perspective, paradoxically, will be experienced by every single facet of all that is. Each aspect, each facet will experience itself in time becoming all that is. And thus then all that is contains all the pieces experiencing themselves ultimately as all that is. This is the holographic nature and the holographic structure of existence, in that every single piece of the whole contains the whole, can express the whole on some level in some way, so that each piece contains all the information of the whole. And in knowing that, You yourself know that you have all the information you need to be whatever unique experience you have chosen to be, and can know that it is always with you, can always be tapped into, can always be downloaded into you, and you don't really have to go seeking anywhere to find it. It's all here, it's all now, because there is only one moment in creation. Now, and now. Always now, never then, never when, never sometime to be. Always it is now. And everything you call a different moment is just the same now from a different point of view. So the idea thus then of the vibrations of attraction and repulsion have been talked about in your society now in recent times with great fervor and great acceleration, because it is now the recognition that this is a true vibratory principle that you can utilize in your life in a variety of ways. That having been said, many of the concepts, many of the ways in which this has been expressed, all well and good, all germane, all perfect for what they are, have in some ways now orbited around the central idea of how this mechanism actually functions. Many of you have a certain idea that when you talk about the law of attraction, you know that if you order your frequency to a certain level, in a sense, if you pattern yourself in a certain way, you will attract those things that are of similar vibration. And in a sense, that is so. And you know that if you allow yourself to be out of alignment with your true self, you will attract things, in a sense, that are of the vibration of misalignment. And in a sense, that is so. And you know that when you have a vibration that is not compatible with something else, you know that the law of repulsion will come into play, in that those things that exhibit more and more incompatibility, vibrationally speaking, will drift farther, and farther apart from each other until such time as those things that are truly incompatible with one another will simply cease to experience one another, because they will no longer really be sharing any kind of an agreement of the same reality experience. This is the other thing that we have also mentioned about in the crossing of the threshold in 2012, and what we have referred to by analogy as the train station. The idea that you have many tracks and they all go through this station. But after they go through this station, they start to split apart to go to their own individual destinations. And at first, the tracks are still relatively close together after they leave the station. But the longer the train travels, the farther apart it will get from any other train, from any other track. And so it becomes, in a sense, less likely that you'll be capable of shifting from train to train, from track to track, the farther apart the trains and the tracks get. And this is why it is so important now, in this time, to be on the track you really wish to be on. There will be a short amount of time in which you will still be capable of perceiving the other trains, the other tracks, but it will also in time be more and more difficult and less probable that you'll be capable of shifting from one track to another, so it is a good idea to make sure that you've bought a ticket on the appropriate train now that it's leaving the station, while you still have the opportunity to experience what it is you say you prefer to experience. Thus then, this is an analogy of the law of repulsion, in that all these incompatible vibrations will begin to segregate out and push away from everything that is not, in that sense, compatible with it. This, in this idea, shows you that repulsion is just as strong an idea, just as strong a force, if you will, as the idea of attraction. And in that sense, without repulsion, attraction will not find the places in which those things that you are attracting can reside. For you must make room for those things that are you by letting go of those things that are not. Now, herein lies the real profound understanding and the core of this idea of the law of attraction and repulsion. Many of you, because again of the way you've been taught to sort of express yourself, to think, to frame things, to label things, to define things in your physical reality, have this kind of a picture in your head that when you vibrate in a certain way, you are attracting something from somewhere else to here. And that when you, in a sense, release something else, you are releasing it, so to speak, from here to somewhere else. Well, of course, many of you now understand that everything exists right here and now. It's not really coming from anywhere else or going to anywhere else. It is, in a sense, simply being rearranged as a ratio of energy, as a balance of energy, as an equation of energy within the consciousness that you are. But you can still use the analogy of the vibration of attraction and repulsion as you have been doing, and at the same time, we would now like to introduce another way of looking at this, another way of imagining this, another way of picturing this so that you can understand how to let go of any concept of effort or struggle with this idea of attempting to attract and attempting to let go, so that it will help accelerate whatever process you do deem is necessary for you when you plant into this equation this particular variable we are about to introduce. Because you see, this is all about the nature of existence. And you are part of the nature of existence. And in that context, as a part of the nature of existence, there really is no separation between you and existence itself. So the vibrations that we are talking about here of attraction and repulsion, you are really immersed in this energy. It is, in a sense, not separate from you. And because that is so, you can use these principles with the following understanding. I'll just put it to you this way. You are not doing all the work. And you don't have to do all the work. In the following way. The things, the ideas, the beliefs, the concepts, the experiences, the opportunities, whatever you wish to call them, that are vibrating in alignment with your true core self, are already doing their utmost to be attracted to you. The ideas, the synchronicities, the beliefs, the vibrations, the opportunities, the situations, the circumstances that are not aligned with that core, radiant, signature frequency that is your true self are doing their utmost to get away from you. The only reason the things that are attempting to get to you don't get to you is that you're keeping them away. The only reason the things that are attempting to get away from you don't get away from you is you are holding on to them and not letting them go. The energy of the law of attraction is not just you attracting things to you. It's the attraction itself being attracted to you, coming to you, desiring to be part of you because it recognizes the vibration that is your core signature frequency and can, by law, do nothing but be attracted to you. The things that are not you cannot do anything but, by law, attempt to remove themselves from the vibration they are not. This is the law. This is the variation of the third law. What you put out is what you get back. But this is the polarity understanding of that third law. That reality itself, existence itself, creation itself, nature itself is vibrating in these ways, and these vibrations can only align with similar vibrations and must move away from what they are not compatible with, unless and because you have been given the free will and the ability to choose to keep something at bay that is attempting to attract itself to you, or hold on to something tightly that is attempting to escape from you. And so everything we have shared with you about getting in touch with your beliefs, refining your understanding of who and what you are, and defining yourself more clearly has been all about the purpose and the focus of understanding how to let go of things that are already attempting to go away, and how to let things in that are already attempting to find you and connect with you. You are not doing the work in that sense of attracting and repulsing. The attraction principle and the repulsion principles are automatically built into nature. You are only doing the work of letting the things in that want to come in and letting go of the things that want to go. That's the work you're doing. You don't actually have to learn how to attract. You don't actually have to learn how to repel. You just have to learn to let in, and you have to learn to let go. That's all you need to do. Now, doesn't that sound a little more simple? In your journey, in arriving at this point, over thousands of your years, you have experienced the idea, you have known that certain kinds of senses exist that you have termed extrasensory. But you can now begin to understand you no longer need to refer to them as extra. They are part of your arsenal. They are part of your kit. They are your tools. They are your senses. They have always been there. It is simply that in holding yourself back with definitions that limit you, that don't work for you, you have created the illusion, the experience of disconnection and separation from these very natural senses that are not in any way, shape, or form extra, but completely a part of who and what you are in a very natural way. And even your ideas and definitions of death can change in a manner to allow you the freedom to use those senses, to reach out with those senses, to perceive with those senses things that have been heretofore invisible to you only because you thought of these things as beyond you, as extra, as things that are extraordinary, not normal, not natural, supernatural, but they are not. Lose that definition now. Let go of that definition now. There is nothing that is supernatural in that sense of the term. We understand that there will always be experiences that may at any given moment be on a different plane, be in a different frequency, be on a different vibratory level than what may be relevant for you to experience, depending upon the experience that you are having. But that does not make them supernatural in the sense that they are beyond nature, that they are somehow unnatural, outside of nature. Nothing is outside of nature. Nothing is outside of creation. And in the way that people on your planet have used the term paranormal or supernatural, in many ways, those terms no longer serve you. For these things, these perceptions, these abilities are natural, a part of your nature, your true nature. And by being your true nature and rising from the ashes as the phoenixes that you are, you will be able to see and perceive that these senses have always been with you, always been within you, that you are connected to far more than you have previously imagined, that you'll be capable of perceiving far more than you previously could. But not because you have gained extra senses, not because you have become supernatural. Only because you have actually acknowledged and owned the senses that are yours, and acknowledged and own your true nature. By becoming more natural, will you experience connection to these senses. By becoming more natural, will you be capable of perceiving into these other realms in different vibratory states that were heretofore invisible to you.
It is all about becoming your true natural self, not about imbuing yourself with supernatural powers that are beyond or extra or in addition to your true nature. These things are representative of your true nature, are reflective of who and what you are as a consciousness, as an entity, as a being. It is your natural birthright, in a sense, if you wish to put it that way. It is simply part of the kit. All you have to do is look more deeply into the owner's manual, and you will see that all of these accessories have always been there. And they are not really accessories at all. They are truly part of the original design. In rising from your own ashes, in letting go of those things that no longer serve you, and letting them blow away on the wind to become your new self, your new phoenix self, you will begin to experience this natural state more and more. The more you let go of definitions that don't work, the more you let go of definitions that create the illusion and experience of disconnection or separation or something beyond you, the more you let go of those, the more you will incorporate the experience and experience the incorporation of the things that have always been part and parcel of you. In a more holistic way will you experience these things, and your outer reflected reality illusion will reflect these things back to you by allowing you to perceive more of those things, more of those dimensions, more of yourself, because you are the dimension you are perceiving. It is an aspect, it is a reflection, it is an expression of your greater self, and all you're doing by diving and flying into the unknown is discovering more and more of the expanded consciousness that you have always been, and always will be, and are right now. Let us examine more deeply the symbol, the representation of the phoenix. Most often, again, as an archetypal symbol, it is depicted as this bird and contains the colors, more often than not, of scarlet and gold. Scarlet and gold, crimson and gold. However you wish to express this is fine. Let us look also, thus then, at what is representative of those colors within the elemental realms. Since this is an archetypal energy, archetypal vibrations will have corresponding frequencies in the elemental realms. And the two that stand out most strongly, in fact, almost the only elements that express any kind of color at all, express the color red and gold, copper and gold. Thus, then, you can see that even in the elements is the expression, is the vibration of those colors that are representative of renewal and rebirth. And if you thus then even create any artifact, especially those that are representative of cycles, such as a ring, out of a mix of copper and gold, you are actually creating a phoenix resonance, a phoenix artifact, a phoenix archetypal symbol that resonates to the vibrational frequency of that symbol, of that rebirth, of that renewal, of that letting go. If you feel that this permission slip of creating a ring of copper and gold will be of some assistance in reminding you to generate that frequency, that phoenix frequency within you, by all means use your own wherewithal, your own devices, your own abilities, your own resources and imagination to create such a permission slip, because again, it is given to you that almost no other elements in the natural elements have color at all, and yet the primary two that do have striking color are the color of the phoenix, crimson and gold. Take advantage of that frequency as it is given to you to elevate yourselves to the frequency that is represented by the combination of the two. And as we said at the beginning of this transmission, is more than the two in coming together, more than the sum of the two, and creates a new third level, a new third vibrational reflective reality a reflection of a reality that is representative of the phoenix vibration of rising from the ashes, of renewal and rebirth. This is what was created in Atlantean times that was known by the name of Orichalc or Orichalcum, was the mixture of copper and gold. Sometimes they threw in a little bit of silver as a uniting element, a uniting force for the representation of the clear light that is representative of the blending of the two, of the red and the gold, into the clear light represented by silver. So again, instinctively, many of you have combined these metals into rings quite often. Copper, gold, silver is quite common as a representation of a ring of jewelry on your planet, but it is no accident. It isn't just because they're pretty. It is because they represent this vibration of renewal, upliftment, letting go, and represent the third new reality, the reflective reality that is more than the combination of the two, of the scarlet, of the crimson and the gold, the silver clear light. That is the result of the blending of those two frequencies as they come together to create an upliftment and a renewal of spirit, of insight, of flight, of ability, of awareness, of awakening, of freedom. Freedom through fire, through igniting your passion, igniting your dreams, igniting that frequency, igniting the nuclear fires that transform and transcend to a new level of awareness, a new reality, a new dimension of experience that allow you to accelerate forward very rapidly. Again, this is simply a permission slip, but if it gives you reminder, if it gives you the ability, if it gives you the ability to give yourself permission to generate this frequency, this phoenix frequency, then by all means, don't hesitate to acquire or to create such a device. And even in depictions of art, can you do this in creating a reflective permission slip frequency in all the depictions of the phoenix that have existed throughout your history. It is, again, no accident that many, what you call secret societies, use this symbol. And in reality, even though you may think that upon your currency is the symbol of the eagle, it is actually the symbol of the phoenix. For again, it is the rising from the ashes, and even the city that you are in was named Phoenix because it is built from the ashes of the old cultures that existed in the desert before you, those indigenous and native cultures. Ho-ho-kam, ho-ho-kam, ho-ho-kam vibration still exists within your location. You can call upon the ho-ho-kam spirits and the Kachina spirits to aid and assist you in tapping in to the phoenix vibration, the rising of the ashes. Allow yourself to connect to whatever it is that works for you by letting go of older definitions. No longer is this existence supernatural. No longer, in a sense, is it paranormal. No longer, in a sense, is it even metaphysical. It is your new reality, fourth density, physicality, and it is natural. And it is your true state of being. Feel the vibration with every breath you take. Breathe it in deeply. Breathe it in now. Take a deep breath. And with every breath out, you know you are letting go of the ashes of the old, the ashes of that which no longer serves you, the ashes of bygone days, the ashes the ashes float away on the wind, are dissolved and absorbed back into creation to be renewed, reused, reconfigured, retransfigured, retransformed again and again, again and again, again and again in cycles without end, eternally, infinitely. The phoenix is the bird of creation, the symbol of renewal, the symbol of rebirth, the symbol of immortality, of eternity, of infinity, through endless cycles of new experience, of recreation, of redefinition, of reinvention. Reinvent yourselves. You have every right to do so. You have every ability to do so. Now that you know that all of these things you have termed metaphysical, paranormal, and supernatural are simply normal and natural and physical and part of your legacy and part of your existence and part of your path and part of your right and part of your experience and part of your theme. You are the phoenix rising from the ashes, individually and collectively, and you burn bright. Don't be afraid to burn as bright as you can, for only in the brightest fire will you burn away as a crucible all those things that no longer serve you. Only by allowing the brightest of lights will you dispel the shadows and see truly. Allow yourself to be that bright light. Do not be afraid of the fire. Your true essence is indestructible and can never, ever be burnt or destroyed. But all that will fall away, all that is not you, will be reduced to ashes and form the cement and the firmament and the foundation for all that is to come. They are the stepping stones. The ashes create the stepping stones that will lead you to the next and the next and the next version of yourself. Do not fear the light. Do not fear the fire. Do not fear the fear. Let it burn through you and out of you and be free. Truly free to be who you really are. All of you take a deep breath in and let it out, feeling renewed, refreshed, energized. Take a deep breath in and let it out. And let go of those things that have nothing to do with who you know yourself to be. Take a deep breath in and let it out. And know that with every breath, you enter a new chapter. You write a new chapter of your exploration, your expedition, your journey of discovery of yourself, of life, of creation, of light, of being, and that this will never end. Joy is yours forever. Allow yourselves to continue to breathe easily, calmly, but feel that fire burning within. Allow it to expand and fill every cell, every atom, every subatomic particle, every aspect of your being, your spirit, your soul. Feel it extending outward. The rays of a star with the phoenix at the center, burning bright and yet unconsumed. Even though reduced to ashes, renewed and unconsumed in the light of forever, in the phoenix frequency that allows you to know that you are eternal, that you live in the now, in the total present, more and more, allowing more and more of what is to manifest in the new reality you are creating yourself to be, in the new vibration you are creating yourself to experience, yourself to be. It is all about frequency. It is all about resonance. And from the phoenix frequency, you can rise from anything, no matter what you experience, as you define everything in your life to have meaning in a positive way. You will use that phoenix frequency to allow yourself to rise from anything and everything that you may have heretofore labeled in a negative way, but no longer need to. For it no longer serves you. And it cannot exist in the fire of the phoenix frequency. That which does not belong to you, that which is out of alignment, that which is out of harmony with your true core vibration, cannot survive the fire of the phoenix frequency and is reduced to ash and blows away. And you are left, just you, clean, fresh, renewed, uplifted, light, at peace, at one, with all that is. Feel yourself stretch your neck up to the sun, up to the heavens, up to the stars. Feel yourself spread your gold and crimson wings out to the sides. Stretching, stretching, renewing and renewed. Feel your tail feathers spread wide to guide and steer you an unerring oar in the currents and eddies of the energy of all that is, so that you float freely on an uplifting wind, on an uplifting current, rising higher, spiraling higher, ever heavenward, ever starward, ever up and up and up and up into the pure, clear light of all that is. Ride the waves as the phoenix, ride the currents, floating freely, free to be, free to fly. Breathe. Breathe. Breathe.
All right. So when you understand that all of these things that are truly representative of your core vibration, the things that are representative of the life you say you desire, wish, prefer, would be overjoyed and passionate to live, now that you know they are banging at your door trying to get in, maybe you will let that door open a crack. And now that you know there are things that are not representative of the vibration of your preference at all, things that are wholly incompatible with your core frequency, that are banging on the inside of the door trying to get out, maybe you will open that door a crack so that what needs to get out can get out and what needs to come in can come in. All you have to do is open the same door. And the things that need to leave will leave. And the things that wish to come in will come in. You will invite them in. And you will invite them to leave. It is as simple as that. They want to be where they need to be. The vibrations that are incompatible with your signature core want to be elsewhere. The vibrations that are compatible with your signature core want to be with you. The reality that they bring with them wants to be with you. The reality that isn't you doesn't want to be with you. It wants to be where it belongs. Let it be where it belongs. Let it go find its home. Let the things that need to find you come home to you. Because they are you. They are your home. They are your frequency. Now you can see with this analogy that you are floating around as individuals in a sea of whirlpools and vortices and eddies that are attempting to locate you. And as you allow them to come in, you will allow them to swirl and spiral into you. And as soon as they begin to swirl and spiral in, when you allow those other things to swirl and spiral out, you will make room for those things that belong with you and give freedom to those things that don't, instead of keeping them prisoner in your dungeon of pain and sorrow and suffering. This is why you have the phrase on your planet, misery loves company. You're holding on to all the things that are reflective of those things that don't belong to you, and thus then create misery. Because you think that no one else is knocking at the door. When in fact all the things that would be representative of your joy are out there knocking, going, where is he? Where is she? Why does it seem that no one is home? And that is because you have created, by holding on to those that don't belong in your house, you have created such a cacophony of sound, such an overwhelming volume of sound of all of those individuals being so miserable and chatting in your mind and desiring to get out but not being let out and complaining about it, that you can't hear who's knocking at the door. It overwhelms the sound of that which wants to come in. So, you need to quiet those noises of the things that don't belong, quiet the chatter, and say, you know what? Party's over. It's time for the new party to begin, the one that is more compatible with my vibration. Time for you all that don't belong here to go find the parties you do belong to. Because you see, all things, as we say, serve double duty. And it is not that many of those things are in and of themselves bad or wrong by any sense. It just seems that way because they don't belong with you. And thus then when you let them find where they belong, they can be transformed into positive energy. And thus then everyone can be having a positive party simultaneously by allowing those components to find the correct houses in which they belong, the correct people to whom they belong. So, all of you now with this new understanding that this vibration is a part of nature and is seeking you out, that which is aligned with you, and that this vibration is a part of nature, of those things that wish to move away that don't belong to you, and are attempting to do so, but cannot as long as you use your free will and your belief system to hold on to them. Now perhaps you can relax the idea of feeling like there is something special you need to learn to attract things, and something special you need to learn to let things go. The only thing, as we said, you need to do is let in and let go. You do not need to learn to attract. You do not need to learn to repulse. These things are automatically built into nature, to creation itself. You just need to allow it to operate according to the idea of your true signature frequency. So let us now, for the first exercise, imagine, if you will, by relaxing, taking a deep breath, and closing your eyes, imagine that you are a shiny magnetic metal sphere You are gleaming, a gleaming, beautiful, magnetic metal sphere. And as you know, magnets can both attract and repel. So the idea now is that there are certain other smaller pieces of metal and magnets, some of which are attempting to come toward you, being attracted to you by your energy, some of which are attempting to repel away from you because of the incompatibility of your frequency. Thus then, allow yourself to imagine that this metal sphere that you are has rods extending from it in certain places, and at the end of those rods there is a metal plate, a flat metal plate. And that flat metal plate is keeping at bay, keeping away those pieces that are attempting to reach you. And now imagine that other places on your metal sphere have long, heavy chains. And these chains are attached to the pieces of metal that are attempting to run away from you, to fly away from you. But they can go no further than the length of the chains, and the chains are taut, vibrating, holding on to them. The rods and plates are keeping things away. The chains are holding things back. You are a metal sphere full of rods and chains. Now, allow yourself as this metal sphere to realize that there is a deeper core, that the shell of the sphere is the only thing that has the rods and chains, but that there is a deeper magnetic core deep within this idea. And a higher frequency, because remember, deep within actually means higher above. So even though it may seem in the illusion of physical reality to be inside you, deep down, it is in that sense inside you in a higher frequency. It is actually up in energy. And from this sphere within you comes the true core signature frequency. And now that you know, now that you have been told, now that you have received information through the shell to the core, that there are things that you desire, that you prefer attempting to reach you, and that there are things that you do not prefer attempting to get away, you let that energy and that information sink into the core, and you can now sense the core beginning to accelerate upward in vibrational resonance, becoming more and more and more vibratory, higher and higher in frequency, resonating, vibrating, humming with energy. And as it begins to do so, little tiny cracks begin to appear in the outer metallic shell. And here and there, those cracks start to go up the rods and the plates, and the rods and the plates begin to bend, and the chains begin to snap. And as you allow these cracks to radiate outward, and as the rods begin to crack, and as the chains begin to snap, you see and experience all the things being held by the chains flying away from you at the speed of light. And as the idea of all the rods holding away the things that are attempting to get to you snap and break, all of those things crash down onto the surface and shatter the outer metallic core and connect to the inner core, forming a beautiful crystalline surface of a new idea, a new you, one that is harmoniously and perfectly aligned with its true vibratory signature, and expressing that by allowing all the things that are in alignment with that frequency to come and wrap and form this beautiful, transparent, crystalline shell of perfect identity. And allows all the things that are not you to go sailing away at the speed of light, off into the endless void to find those places to whom and to which they belong. And you are just left as this perfect, beautiful magnetic core, shimmering, humming, and vibrating in this perfect, beautiful, transparent, crystalline shell that represents a pure alignment of your beliefs, your emotions, your thoughts and behaviors, the personality that you are, forming a pure spiritual envelope, a pure spiritual bubble, a pure spiritual crystalline form, taking its cue from the vibration of your core, having no impediment in it, no idea in it of anything that doesn't belong. It is all in perfect harmony, and it resonates and sings in pure crystal tones, feeding back to the core the vibrations in the form of song and light. And the light beams outward and is seen by creation, and creation rejoices in the pureness of the alignment, of the willingness to be perfectly who and what you were created to be. Breathe that in. And with every breath, understand you are energizing this vibration, this image of your true natural self. And that you now know that anything that does not belong to your vibration, you can simply let go and it will go away. Let it go. It doesn't belong to you. And those things you now know that are of your frequency, your core vibrational frequency, are automatically attempting to come to you, are automatically coming to you, are on their way always, and will appear instantaneously in the manifestation if you allow that door, the freedom to be open, so that the things that don't belong can leave and the things that do belong can come in. Take the hinges off that door. Remove the door entirely. Allow it to simply be an open doorway, an open gateway to all that you are, and allow all that you are not to be on its way. For through that door, things can pass in both directions. You are free to allow for a free-flowing exchange of energy, of that which is you and that which is not, to come and go, freely come and go, with no need to hold on to anything that doesn't belong, and no need to try and attract anything that does. You just know that you are perfectly magnetic as long as you are willing to let it in, and as long as you are willing to let go of what doesn't belong, then there will always be a space for that which does belong. But you must make room. You must make room. So make room for that which is you, and bid a fond bon voyage to that which is not. And let it sail free upon the sea of eternity and the sea of synchronicity, so that it may flow with the eddies and vortices and find its natural place, so that there is balance within creation. All things being who, what, where, and when they perfectly need to be in the eternal now, the eternal sea of all that is, floating free, dancing, swirling, diving, splashing, playing, loving, tumbling in perfect harmony with all other eddies and currents, all toward the source of all that is, the source of unconditional love and light that you now reflect with your perfect crystalline spirit sphere and its vibrating magnetic core of your unique truth. Breathe it in and let it out. And breathe it in and let it out. And breathe it in and hold on to nothing. Let it out. And let this be as natural as breathing. For every breath you know you need to take in, that is the law of attraction. And every breath you know you need to let out, that is the law of repulsion. Let this be as easy as breathing. Let it be as natural as breathing. So that all things that want to come to you with every breath. And all things that wish to go away with every exhalation. Let it be the cosmic breath in and out of attraction and repulsion, of that which is you and that which is not. Taking it in, letting go. Taking in, letting go. It is the cosmic breath of creation, the cosmic breath of all that is. Breathe easy. Breathe as one. Conspire with the Creator. Allow yourselves now. Reconnect to whatever reality you have so deemed you now exist within, knowing that you have in many ways rewired yourself in this perfect crystalline way. That you are a new vibration, a new personality, a new idea, and a new understanding in a new reality, literally. And in this parallel reality now that you have joined us in, that you have agreed to co-create with us, we welcome you to this new reality. We welcome you home.
Let's say good day to all of you. We will begin this transmission by first and foremost, once again, thanking each and every one of you for your part in the co-creation of this interaction, of this exchange, allowing us in this way to contact and communicate with your civilization by your participation. So we thank you for this gift of interaction, this gift of sharing, this gift of opening up the doorways between our respective worlds, our respective realities, and together creating a new third reality, third experience that is more than just the combination of our respective dimensions, that will expand exponentially in a direction more conducive to creating the state of being in the vibrational state that is most representative of the experiences and the reality and the world that you prefer, that is most harmoniously aligned with your true self, with your core vibration. This transmission this day has been titled Rising from the Ashes, and of course, as you know, is appropriate for the area in which we are transmitting this information, named Phoenix, after the idea of your legendary bird who lives, according to your legends, for anywhere from 500 to 1,000 years, and then creates for itself a nest that it ignites and sets itself on fire, consuming itself utterly in the flames and transforming itself, reducing itself to ash, but from which, within that ash, a new egg, a new hatchling, a new version of itself rises, renews, and thus then again lives for another 500 to 1,000 of your years, being the symbol of rebirth, the symbol of renewal, the symbol of eternity, but the symbol also of cycles. The idea being that while there may seem to be repetition, it is not exactly that you come back to the same place again and again, but that it is a spiral, ever expanding, so that even though you may make a full circuit, it is always just a little bit different, taking with you the accumulation of all of your previous experience and applying that to the new cycle so that you begin the new cycle in a different state, slightly offset, and continue those cycles over and over again, constantly spiraling, never exactly in the same place twice, forever and ever and ever, but constantly changing, constantly shifting, constantly expanding, constantly renewing, constantly becoming new, constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly becoming more and more and more of who and what you truly are as a consciousness, as a being, as an entity, as a spirit, on all levels, including physical, as you progress through the understanding and idea of the path you chose to experience, of the themes you chose to explore in your lives. Now, with respect to the idea, not only of your individual paths, but also of your collective agreements, the concept of rising from the ashes is not only about the idea that we have just discussed, but is also connected simultaneously in order to move forward, in order to expand with the letting go of those things, those ideas, those concepts that no longer work for you, that no longer resonate within you harmoniously with your core self. And so rising from the ashes is all about allowing those old beliefs, those old definitions, those old ways of doing things, those old behaviors, those old thoughts, those old feelings, in a sense, to ignite and to reduce to ashes, to form the soil, if you will, the fodder, if you will, for your rebirth, from which you will arise clean, renewed, refreshed, with new understandings, new perspectives, new definitions, new beliefs, new feelings, new thoughts, new actions, totally new personalities with totally new behaviors in each cycle in which you allow yourself to experience this reducing to ashes and rising from them and rebirth. You reinvent yourself over and over and over again, always in a new way, shifting from reality to reality, allowing yourself to truly be the light that shines through the eyes of countless personality beings, again in much the same way that the light of a projector flashes through the frames of a film, illuminating the idea, the experience, the illusion of movement, of space, of time, of change, in order to add that experience of change to your total being so that you can understand and experience directly the mechanism of creation itself in all the ways that you can experience it eternally, infinitely, through a variety of forms that you will take even beyond this incarnation. But you have to begin somewhere. You have to take the first step. And as you have now been entering your so-called new age, your crossing of the threshold, your expansion of consciousness, your expansion of awareness, your awakening to more of yourself, you must understand that you can use what has come before. You can use what no longer serves you as the fertile soil from which to rise, from which to spring anew, to lay a foundation for you to stand upon so that in the next cycle you will be standing higher than you were before. And with each cycle laying a new foundation, a new brick to the tower to allow you to continue to rise and rise and rise from and upon the ashes of your former experience, your former understanding, your former perception, your former lives. Even within this life, you have countless lives because you're always changing, always renewing, always letting go, always forming, in a sense, a chrysalis that allows you to emerge as the new butterfly again and again and again in new ways. So rising from the ashes is all about paying attention to the old ideas that no longer serve you, the old definitions. It is very important now in this crossing of the threshold, in this new age of awareness, to allow yourselves as part and parcel of this process to truly look at the definitions you have been holding on to. And we're not even just talking about the idea of negative definitions within you on a personal basis, but also simply of the general definitions that your society uses to define things in your reality, especially with regard to the idea of metaphysical topics that are simply now outdated definitions that don't work anymore. It is all about allowing yourselves to realize new definitions that are more harmoniously aligned and in sync with those things that you relate to as metaphysical concepts, but can give new definitions to that will allow them to reveal themselves more streamlined to you, more simply to you, so that you can use them more effectively. All these concepts, all these tools that we have discussed, all these tools you have been aware of for thousands and thousands of your years, but perhaps have defined in ways that perhaps are a little bit misleading, a little bit confusing, that do not provide clarity of what is actually happening in those metaphysical mechanisms that you think you are using in a certain way, but in fact are actually using in a completely different way. We have to some degree discussed these concepts before, these differences in definition. But now is the time in moving forward, in crossing this threshold in your new age of awareness, in your splitting prism of 2012, more importantly than ever before, very important to come up with precise, clean, simple, clear definitions of metaphysical mechanisms so that you can use them without confusion, use them easily on a day-to-day basis, use them with familiarity, use them most importantly of all with true understanding. Because when you have true, clear understanding of the core mechanisms that you define as metaphysics, you will be able then to relate any circumstance and situation, any other concept to that core structure. And you will see that whatever fits that core structure is all that is needed for you to understand. And whatever does not fit in that new framework, that new core structure, doesn't work for you and can be released, can be let go of, can be ignited and reduced to ashes, to form a part of the new soil, the new foundation from which you will rise and upon which you will stand, gaining higher perspectives, higher sights, clearer vision, broader view, to take you farther and farther and farther on your journey, deeper and deeper and deeper into your true natural self. You all must, in that sense, become the true representation of the phoenix, to take on that characteristic, that willingness to ignite and reduce to ashes those old ideas and let them fall away so that you can be, in that sense, lighter, free to fly with new understanding, free to understand with clarity from a phoenix's point of view, high in the sky, looking down upon the old realities and seeing what used to be, and seeing the difference between what you need and no longer relate to. For all that will be left will be simpler, less than you used before. You will carry less with you as you move higher and higher into those realms of understanding. In a sense, stripping yourself down, stripping yourself free of all those things that you may have picked up along the way, that are from others in your society, from others in your family, from others that have shared with you, offered you old ideas that may have once worked, but no longer do. And you can be free as the phoenix to let go of those things that don't belong to you, so they do not weigh you down, so that you are capable of flying freely. And you can know that it is in no way, shape, or form a dishonor to do so, a dishonor to anyone, You are not in any way, shape, or form dishonoring your parents by letting go of beliefs they may have spoon-fed you when you were growing up that no longer serve you as an adult. It is, in fact, just the opposite. You honor them by being yourself, truly finding yourself, truly breaking through the shell of the egg that rises from the ashes and being renewed, refreshed, and allowing yourself to truly, truly represent the next generation of understanding, the next generation of consciousness, the next generation of perspective and ideas that will take you and the entire society of which you are a part much, much further in its ability to have insight, in its ability to see more broadly, in its ability to see more clearly, in its ability to see more precisely, and in its ability to understand these ideas that propel you forward, that are simple ideas, without the need for any further complications, without the need for adding difficulty. You will always, always have challenges in your life, but these can be exciting. These can be uplifting. These can be freeing. These can be expanding. They will never weigh you down as long as you are willing, as a being, as a phoenix, to approach them, to fly to them, as you fly up toward the sun, being more and more illuminated, more and more enlightened, to see more clearly, with brighter light, with clearer light, all the things you could not see before because you were not willing to let go of those things that cast a shadow over your eyes. Not willing to let go of those definitions that blinded you, in a sense, from the light. Willing and now to let go of those things that are representative of the dark clouds that obscure the clarity, obscure the light of consciousness, the light of awareness, the light of being, the light of spirit, the light of your true self. Free to fly in that light, in that state, be that being, be that phoenix, and rise, rise, rise from the ashes. So, let us look at some of the older definitions. Let us see how new understanding and new definitions can take their place, and how those new definitions can provide lightness, clarity, freedom, malleability, flexibility, and true understanding and true experience of your power, your self-empowerment to create the reality experience you truly prefer.